unconceived births are on the rise in Europe, and it's a cross-border business. Experts say it's because people want children when they're older, without a partner, and in same-sex couples. But recent controversies surrounding so-called super donors have led some EU countries to call for common rules. We look at the medical and ethical challenges in this episode of EU Decoded.
Each EU country sets a maximum number of children born from a single donor. This can range from 1 in Cyprus to 15 in Germany. Some member states prefer to limit the number of families that can use the same donor. Sweden and Belgium limit this to 6, but Denmark allows up to 12 families. There is no limit for international donations, however. There are commercial cryobanks that set voluntary limits, but as many as 75 children have been conceived by the same donor.
These super donors increase the risk of unwitting incest and the spread of genetic abnormalities. There is also concern about the psychological harm to children who could find out later in life that they have dozens of half-siblings. We asked Europeans if they shared these concerns.
Aber es ist schon gut, wenn man weiß, wer die Person ist, ne? Weil man weiß nie, was die andere Person mitbringt, Charakterzüge und ja, mentale Sachen, alles so.
Für mich ist das dann schon so eine ethische Frage irgendwie. Was machen Menschen mit ihrem Erbgut?
Eigentlich ihren Lauf lassen soll. Und von daher finde ich also persönlich, dass das ist eine Kunst der Medizin, aber es ist nichts, was ich befürworte.
Credo che come tutti gli aspetti importanti vada regolamentato nel miglior modo possibile, in maniera chiara.
Credo che sia una cosa che debba essere più regolamentata, insomma, e che ci sia più informazione soprattutto nelle scuole, dato che in Italia su questo praticamente non se ne parla zero.
Euronews' reporter Amandine Hess is here with me now to help us delve deeper into this issue. Amandine, we've had reports recently of some very controversial cases of sperm donors, particularly in Europe. Tell us more about some of these cases.
Well, a few weeks ago it has been reported that a Danish donor who was unknowingly carrying a rare genetic mutation that increases the risk of cancer had helped conceive at least 67 children in Europe, and 10 of them have been diagnosed with cancer. And then there is the issue of super donors who help conceive dozens or even hundreds of children, and it raises concerns because it increases the risk of consanguineous relationships among donor-conceived individuals. And finally, 50% of egg donation treatments take place in Spain because it has more liberal assisted reproduction laws. So patients travel there for treatments, but there are some questions on the ethical implication of commercialized egg donation.
There's also the question of anonymity of these donors. Tell us what the situation is on that across the European Union, and what are some of the ethical questions that arise from this?
For instance, sperm donation is anonymous in Italy, but it's not the case in the Netherlands. And in some countries, such as Austria, it's semi-anonymous, which means that sperm donation is anonymous only between the donor and the recipients. Now, because of DNA testing and social media, donors' anonymity can no longer be 100% guaranteed. So it's more and more common that children can get in touch with their half-siblings or their donor, and can be challenging for them, but also for their families.
Finally, we know that there's increasing concern among many EU countries, and that they're trying to propose solutions to this. What are some of the options on the table right now?
Some member states limit the number of children per donor. Others prefer to limit the number of families per donor to allow them to have biological siblings, but there is no international limitations. So some commercialized sperm banks have their own voluntary limits, such as 75 families per donor, but others have not. So it's not uncommon that some children have more than 100 half-siblings. So this is the kind of situation that this proposal would prevent.
The human body and its parts cannot generate financial profit, according to the Oviedo Convention. Commercial cryobanks earn revenues based on services related to the handling, freezing, and storage of sperm and eggs, as well as through tests to screen potential donors. Some companies have online catalogs that disclose basic donor details, such as ethnicity, eye and hair color, height, weight, and occupation. Clients can pay a higher fee to access more complete profiles.
Nuestra invitada es Elena Nevado del Campo, eurodiputada del Partido Popular Europeo y miembro de la Comisión de Salud Pública. ¿Hasta qué punto pueden las instituciones de la Unión Europea establecer un cupo para estas donaciones, dado que la salud es, ante todo, una cuestión de jurisdicción nacional?
Tenemos un reglamento que se aprobó recientemente en el 2024 sobre normas de calidad y seguridad de sustancias de origen humano destinadas a la aplicación precisamente en el ser humano. Y ese reglamento, que es de obligado cumplimiento para todos los Estados miembros, también recoge la donación y el esperma y los ovocitos para la reproducción humana. Por lo tanto, yo sí que creo que podemos establecer un marco más global con la prudencia que la propia Comisión Europea, a través de doña Sandra Gallina, ha señalado.
¿Ve usted útil la creación de registros nacionales que contribuyan luego a un registro central europeo para donaciones transfronterizas?
Muchas leyes a nivel nacional ya prevén el establecimiento de estos registros, pero realmente muchos no se han puesto en marcha. Iría más allá. Casi que por una cuestión de ética deberían establecerse registros de carácter internacional, puesto que estas donaciones traspasan las fronteras también de la propia Unión Europea.
Las empresas que recolectan y comercializan esperma y óvulos afirman que faltan donantes. ¿Cuál podría ser el impacto de establecer nuevos límites?
Estamos hablando de la protección de la infancia y el derecho a saber si a través de estas respuestas, dada la baja natalidad que azota también a Europa, puede dar lugar a transmisión de algún tipo de enfermedades. Por lo tanto, frente a esta actitud de los bancos, tenemos que ir más allá y pensar que hay que establecer esas medidas de calidad y de seguridad para proteger la salud humana y la infancia.
The cross-border sperm donation business will likely continue to boom, but the medical and ethical concerns mean that new rules are required and fast. But it's unclear what Brussels can do. For now, 8 EU countries are calling on Brussels to consider a cap on the number of children that can be conceived from one donor.